Hi guys, it's Mike here again with another video update. First off, I must apologize about not necessarily the quality of the previous video, but just my lacking in paying attention to the fact that it was still lopsided. So I'm going to take that video down, and this is a new video based on what I've done so far with trees, the main mountain vegetation, and adding coal and ballast to the layout. Thank you very much for all the kind comments on the trees. They've actually turned out better than expected, and I like the variation of vegetation, say that 10 times fast, that has happened on here. And I started putting a little bit more trees in to fill gaps, but I think they absolutely look wonderful with the ground cover. The small foothill here that is flanking the back side of the layout turned out really good. I started filling in more gaps, and as you can see in the far distance kind of here with my finger, bringing them down the side of the slope to give it kind of a greater sense of depth. The other thing too is I started adding some poplar trees that I bought online to the layout itself. Now, I had to go about this a really interesting way. Main reason being is because this layout is plywood. You can still see that the base of it is solid wood. And I've kind of shot myself in the foot per se with this because there's no easy way of putting in trees. So essentially what I've been doing is I found the smallest drill bit manageable that I had in my series of drill bits, and I just drilled a small hole a little bit larger than what this actual tree trunk size is. And then I dipped the trunk in white glue and then just placed it in there, and they've all held in here very well. You know, the cool thing is that flocking cover, the grass cover, wasn't disturbed at all, and the sawdust that kicked up from the drill bit was easily just blown away and whisked away. The other thing is, you can see, is I started ballasting a couple of the main lines, and I have to admit I'm not very good at it, but it turned out okay. I think the ballasting looks great, especially with the weathered track. The tricky thing with this is controlling the ballast, especially such at a small scale, because when you're applying it to the rails and you're slowly dumping it on there, the pieces are so small they tend to bounce around very easily, so you have to work with it very carefully and very cleanly. But so far so good, and I think the result has been outstanding. The other thing I did before I get to my favorite piece so far is this is going to be an open coal face mine that's going to be some heavy equipment working in here, some power shovels working in here. There's going to be like a coal transferring station right in here, which I have to amalgamate later. But my dad and I have been collecting real-world material for years now, and I've been able to incorporate my layout with all the crushed shale that's been incorporated into here, which just pulls in the colors of the land very nicely. So he was able to go to an old coal spur that's been abandoned for years and actually get real coal, which I've crushed down, and I've been able to blend it into this rock face to kind of give it an open coal face mine. The color here is actually not anything rubbed on material. I just took this stiff brush right here and then just added black acrylic paint and just dry brushed it on there, and I really like the way it turned out, as if the coal is coming through the rock rather than just taking white glue and just pushing it on there. That it just looks too fake. I'm sorry. The other thing I did is I put a lot of time and effort into finishing up this mountain, which just absolutely looks phenomenal now. I think it really ties in the model railroad. So I took the same shale which we've been collecting directly from the mountain Rockies, the Canadian Rockies, and I tried to blend in the caster plastings down into here to kind of make it a washout. When I figured out what I wanted in front of these castings, I just solidified everything with scenic cement, which worked really well. The other thing I've done is, you can see I've added some texture to the major mountain. This was very easy to do. Once again, you take a manila folder and you fold it in half so you can hold it with your hand, and you cup it, and you pour the substance that you would like to whisk onto the mountain, and you just gently blow the material onto it. And what it does is, you can still see that right here, there's rock face poking through, which is what I wanted, because that is normally what you see in foothills in Canada. You still see a lot of exposed rock face, and when you blow it, all the material will go up in the air gently and fall and settle down, almost like water does. Once you have that, you can gently apply your adhering agent to your whim, and it turned out absolutely beautiful. The colors are really good. The only thing I'm kind of debating on is if I should still continue on the transition from foothills, which have started over here with the trees, to carry it all the way up here and carry it up into the side of the mountain. I think it would look fantastic, but I'm still debating if it should be done or not. Any input from you guys would be fantastic, and I will carry that forward onto the layout. So far so good. The road is still in kind of rough stages. There's still a lot that needs to be done and painted. I do currently have the rest of the buildings of the layout on order with all the fine detail. So it's coming into the closing stages here. It's just going to take some time to build the structures, weather them, and apply them, and then all the ground cover around them. So I'm about 75% through here. I'll be back to kind of show you guys more once everything is done, and to show you kind of what the buildings will look like on the layout. Thank you again for all your time and effort you put into wonderful comments. This thing's going to be a beautiful thing to get up and operating, and I'll keep you guys posted. But thanks again, and keep on model railroading.